my real question for you is this telepathy tapes that is going viral.
The number one podcast on, what is it, Spotify and Apple or whatever?
It's beat Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I don't think it's consistently beat Joe Rogan, but it did beat him several times because I don't want to give inaccurate information. I don't know how many times. But it also, a lot of people think that it kind of spiraled. I don't know if this is true, but it kind of spiraled because he actually spoke to the girl that does the podcast.
Oh, okay. So Joe Rogan had her on.
He had her on.
Okay, gotcha.
And then I think obviously all his listeners listened, and then it kind of like just took off.
Yeah, because people were super curious, as am I. Like,
okay, so we haven't really listened fully to the podcast or anything like that. We know of the situation. We've seen some videos. We know about it. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, it's very precarious, right? Like, I think a lot of families who initially heard about this were very like optimistic and hopeful that this could be something great for their families who maybe have like an autistic child or a nonverbal child. So a part of me was like really curious. But then now that I've like dove a little bit deeper and we've looked at some of these articles, I'm like, is she scamming us? Like, did we fall for like some gigantic kind of like hoax, like a social experiment? And I'm just like, ooh, like this is spicy. Like,
yeah. So this telepathy tapes is basically, if you haven't heard of it, it is basically this doctor. Is she a therapist? She's done like documentaries and all that kind of stuff. But her name's Kai. What's her name? Kai.
It's like let's see, how do we pronounce this so we don't butcher her name?
I'm pretty sure it's Kai something.
Yeah.
Anyways, she does these. So she's the person doing Kai Dickens.
Yes.
She's doing the podcast, and she found this like doctor that did these studies about parents that telepathically communicate with their autistic, like their nonverbal autistic kids. And so they discovered that there's a lot of parents that believe this, and like they wanted to bring them together and kind of do like a little study. And so this girl has a background in documentaries and was like, I want to get together and do a documentary, and ended up spiraling into like, she also did a podcast version of it explaining it. So it reminds me very much of Tell Them You Love Them,
yes. Right? Definitely instant feeling on that. Like
instant feeling of scam, right? Because if you've seen the documentary Tell You Love Them, it's this girl that basically is like, it's facilitated
You were right. Yeah.
Yep. Communication. Yeah. So basically these nonverbal people or whatever communicate through these people that like type out what they're saying and stuff. I don't understand it, but we've all determined we think that's fully a scam.
Yeah.
And the documentary is very interesting.
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched them, Tell Them You Love Them. Very good.
It's on Netflix.
Very sad, but good.
Yes. A lot of feels.
A lot of feels. So it feels very much like that it's like just a scam.
Yeah.
Because with that one, they're not communicating.
Yes.
So like we'll never know if they're actually saying that.
Yeah, there's no proof. Like there's no way to find out for real if these people are communicating via the pets. So it's like you can believe it. Like it's like, okay, sure. Like this is a very effective way to communicate with
or
nonverbal
you could be like
people.
it's completely a scam.
Yes. Yep.
Which
very
I think
easy to think
is a
either.
Scam.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's these people that don't have like relationships with, or like it's not like their parents. Yeah. It's like these people that come in and do it for them.
Yeah, like an aide. Like someone comes to the house and then helps them to like communicate, right. And then they learn to communicate on these devices. So it's very like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So it feels very much like that. So the problem I have with this whole thing is even if it is real, okay, they didn't do the study properly. So like, even if this is all real, she did it in a scamish way. Because so you listen to the podcast and it's all audio, right? So she's explaining all of this stuff. You're hearing the situation. She's saying basically like parents are put into different rooms. They're put behind dividers so they can't see each other. They're doing all these things. Then she actually wants you to see the videos. She wants to charge you $9.99, like $9.99.
Yep.
And it's literally like a pay portal. There's no like thank you for supporting us, like to make this an official documentary. This is gonna help us. Like there's no like it's just you pay.
Yeah.
And that's it. So once you pay, then you get all the videos for this instead of it just being an audio. So now what people are saying is like, you listen to the audio, which I've listened to an episode, and she's very much like, this person's behind the wall, blah, blah, blah. But then you see the videos and they're not.
They're sitting right next to each other.
So you're just kind of like, which you kind of get a little bit of a taste because she says that they're separated. But then in one thing, they're like, and then she touched his face. And you're like,
How did
wait.
she touch her face if they're in separate rooms? Like,
Yeah. So it feels very scamish that like you are listening to this podcast, kind of getting convinced of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then you go watch the videos and it's something quite different.
Yeah.
Right. That doesn't mean that it's not true per se, but how she's going about this feels like she's wanting money from it.
No, and it's honestly, it was kind of sad too. This is the part I didn't like, is that she's preying on hopeful parents. So then they run immediately to the website, pay the $10 to watch the videos, and then they're like, wait a second, either they believe it or they don't, but then they're like, they're going to lose hope, or they're going to continue to, you know, maybe pay money or whatever they can do to be a part of this, to learn from this, and, you know, hope that they can do this with their own child. So it's really sad.
Yeah. The interesting thing to me is, I mean, I didn't watch, like, I didn't listen to the whole podcast, but I'm so confused about how they're communicating with their parents, like, based on, like, so one of the examples was this, they were showing the mom Uno cards, and then a son would say what the mom saw, like, and they were not looking, but they said what the mom saw. And in my head, I'm like, if you communicate numbers or letters or different things like that, then can't they communicate via that device?
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Like, and then
Like,
use
can't
another
we-
system to communicate based off of those letters and numbers. Like, if that's what they can
Yeah,
do.
like, if you're really nonverbal, which, yeah, I know physically they're nonverbal, but, like, since they're doing that, can they communicate with the parents of what they want?
Yeah. I would think so. Like, that should be enough to then therefore do other things. Like, I want orange
Right.
juice, or in pain, or whatever it is that they're trying to communicate.
Right.
Like, yeah.
The interesting thing was that all these autistic kids describe this thing called the hill. And it's this, like, almost like, I don't know if it's like a dimension where it's like almost like a grassy green hill, and where they all meet.
Okay.
And apparently they all describe it the same way. And they can, like, communicate freely.
Interesting.
And I'm just like, what? If this is true, okay? I'm not saying it's not true. This is just me speaking.
Yeah.
If this is true, why are we just discovering this?
Ooh, interesting. I don't know.
Like, why are we just finding this out?
Yeah.
That all these people are going to this thing called the hill.
Yeah, and wouldn't she have wanted to monopolize that much sooner? Like, that this is like a new discovery, but then, like, forever ago, I feel like, to jump on that as a scientific
Yeah.
opportunity.
How likely do you think that this is real?
It's so hard to say, but I'm leaning on the side of, like, it's not real. Like, that this is, there might be something there, right? Like, this form of communication between a mother and a child of, like, you know, two. She's saying two. Like, maybe something, right? Like, some sort of communication with eyes or emotions or feelings. Like, there's something. But as far as, like, the whole, like, going to the hill as a group and having these, like, being able to share information from separate rooms of, like, what's on the cards and what they're feeling, I don't know if I buy all of it. Especially in this.
Yeah.
Like, maybe somewhere, but not in this setting of how she's
Yeah.
portrayed it, for, like, the sake of, like, a podcast and a video. I just don't know if I fully believe
Yeah.
it.
And it's like, I'm torn in the sense that, like, I half believe it,
Yeah.
right? Because I think that when you have a disability, it's like blind people, their other senses are very strong.
You get heightened in other ways.
Exactly. So I think that, like, yeah, you are going to have a stronger connection with your mom, or maybe be able to identify each other, because it's almost like it's like even with my dad, right? My dad can't verbally communicate with my mom, but, like, my mom oftentimes knows what he's saying. So, like, you naturally build that up. So I'm like, yes, it could be a really strong where you guys are, like, very in sync.
Yep.
I just don't know how much I believe it as, like, full on telepathy.
Oh, agreed. Or same with newborn
Right.
babies and their mothers, right? Like newborn
Yeah.
babies don't have a way to verbally communicate when they're in pain
But
or
we
experience.
know.
Yeah, exactly. And then our bodies know, like
Yeah.
intuitively, how to take care of a sick baby. You know, all the study they've done on like breast milk and stuff. So like there is a connection that can be made very deep between, you know, one person and someone who's not verbal. But I just like you said, telepathy. I just don't know. That's just. For this scenario, I don't know how much I believe that this is like real, like backed by science real.
Like full on,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think just they needed to do it. If they were going to do it, they needed to do it right.
Yeah.
Right. So like if you're going to take this time to do this like whole study and this podcast and all stuff, do it right.
Yeah.
Like actually separate them. They also talk about how like in different articles, they're like, why didn't they like ever separate them where like the mom can't see the kid?
Oh,
Does it
okay.
still work?
Yeah.
Like what they should have done is like really tested this out in different situations in different manners and actually follow what they're saying, that they're not in the same room and all this kind of stuff, but they didn't. So it kind of feels like whatever information you give could be a little sketch.
Yes.
Anyways.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, for sure.
And like you also gave this information that like they're not in the same room, they're behind walls, and then like you buy the videos and they're not.
Yeah.
So it feels like
You feel
they're
a little
kind of
lied to.
scamming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people are saying that they fully got into it, believed it, then saw the videos and are like, wait.
Yeah. I could see that for sure.
It's a big controversy right now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like, surely we're going to get a Netflix documentary out of this, right?
Yes. And have you seen the website? I feel like the website's giving very not scientific, but very like give me money and support what we're doing vibes. So-
$9.99.
yeah. So like it's very like a fun, bubbly website. It doesn't look anything like it's like, hey, this is here to support autistic people, or here's how, you know, resources to help, you know, in nonverbal communication. Like it's strictly just here's how to purchase the videos, here's where to sign up to subscribe to my podcast. And it's very just like it's not giving very like scientific research or therapeutic vibes at all. Like
Yeah. Or like when you donate the, you know, when you pay the $9.99, blank goes to fund research on, like, there's nothing
that feels
just
good
feels
about
like
it.
A money grab.
Yes.
It feels like a money grab.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
So,
we'll have to share
don't
some
know.
videos on our social media, like some like clips and stuff, because it's kind of just interesting to see like some of the videos show where the parents and the kids are. So you'll get to really kind of see how this study looked if you go back and listen to any of the podcast episodes. It's very interesting.
it is very interesting.
Yeah.
It's a wild world we live in. Like,
Yes,
'cause
it
it's
is.
like, it really is truly like you don't know what to believe anymore.
No. I mean, we just had some women fly off to space last week, and now they're saying that it never happened. So it's really just like we're in a whole new world, guys. Like you got to take every day one step at a time, and like
And we have
take
AI?
information in.
Come on.
Yeah, AI like is flipping the world upside down right now. So we just have to take information in. Like go ahead and figure that out for
With a grain of
yourself,
salt.
and then do your own research with like real research, and then go ahead and decipher how you feel about something.